Hello, I'm Kerry Bloedorn, the Director at Pioneer Park Historical Complex in Rhinelander, and an Oneida County Fair Committee Member. Welcome back for another episode of Oneida County History. This program is brought to you by the Oneida County Virtual Fair and sponsored by the Hodag store in Rhinelander. We're here in front of the historic Pelican Lake Hotel. This building was put on the National Register of Historic Places in 1966. Thousands of people travel through Pelican Lake, Wisconsin every year and don't realize that right across the street from the hotel, if they made the turn onto County Highway B, they would find themselves in the small community of Jennings, Wisconsin. They would also find a hidden gem of Oneida County. Let's go take a look. Come on. Just east of Pelican Lake, on Highway B, stands the once rough and tumble logging boomtown of Jennings. Driving into this single intersection community, you'd think you had stepped back in time upon viewing the buildings at the corner of Highway B and Max Road. You can easily imagine loggers traversing what used to be the railroad track through the middle of town to get to and from the once 3 saloons and boarding house. Like an early 1900s photo frozen in time, there is no other place just like it in Oneida County. Making up half the buildings in Jennings is the completely restored and meticulously maintained Mecikalski Stovewood Building and Museum. Built around 1899 by 32-year-old Polish immigrant John Mecikalski, this magnificent representation of folk building style and architecture is quite unique. With help from his family, John constructed the building using a method called stovewood construction. Also known as cordwood or stack wall construction, it uses logs such as you would use for firewood, stacked like a wood pile, and laid together with mortar to build a wall. This construction method makes for an appealing building style different from a traditional log cabin, where logs are laid lengthwise to form the structure. In the early 1900s, Jennings was a bustling place with a small sawmill, ice house, blacksmith shop, hay barn, and several saloons. John's brother Ernest built a saloon and lumberjack boarding house next door to John's Stovewood building. Covered wall to ceiling in decorative tin panels, this building also featured a little candy store. It is now used as a visitor center for the museum. All the restored buildings together, connected with the classic Old Town Boardwalk, add to the feeling of being back in an early Northwoods logging town. The Mecikalski building is made from 16 to 18-inch cedar logs. Some split, but most left whole in their natural round. The building was a one-stop shop in the logging boomtown of Jennings and acted as living quarters, a general store, grain sales, saloon, implement shop, and post office into the 1920s. It was in the 20s when John sold the building to his brother Henry, who converted the main room into a pool hall. After the logging industry faded, Henry converted it into a cheese factory in the 1930s, and so the building served many uses during its operation. In 1940, the Stovewood building was purchased by Alex Pelabicki, known to the locals as Shotgun. Shotgun, who despite his namesake stutter, was said to have been a wonderful singer of Polish songs, and lived in the rear part of the building, using the rest for storage. Mr. Pelabicki vacated the building in the 1950s, whereby it was left alone for many years. The elements that visit Oneida County can be harsh as they are beautiful, and as the years of neglect drove on, the building would fall into disrepair. Almost, but not forgotten by history. In 1955, Clara Mecikalski researched and wrote an extensive paper about Jennings and the Mecikalski family, which was a seed planted. But it wasn't until 1984 that further research by Donna Gager, under the direction of a professor in the Department of Landscape and Architecture at UW-Madison, that they were able to list the Stovewood building on the National Register of Historic Places. The Mecikalski building was of national significance for its cultural importance to Wisconsin and represented an outstanding and rare method of folk construction. Because of the building's listing on the National Historic Registry, the Kohler Foundation took interest in the property and, under its control, painstakingly restored it over the course of several years. No expense was spared. It was returned to the town of Shepke in a public ceremony in 1987, as the Kohler Foundation has done with a number of historic sites in Wisconsin. Since then, it has been operated as a wonderful museum by a number of dedicated volunteers. Filled with a treasure trove of early Americana, this unique building is beloved by its caretakers that understand its immense importance to Wisconsin history. After all, it is known to be the oldest commercial building of its kind in the country. The Stovewood construction methods used to build the Mecikalski building, or cordwood construction as it is often called in modern times, is still in use today, and all over the world. You might be surprised to know there are several attractive cordwood constructed buildings here in Oneida County. Although this primitive building method has seen many improvements over the decades, the Mecikalski building has stood the test of time, and for that reason has become somewhat of a sacred site for cordwood construction enthusiasts who are still inspired by it to this day. The Mecikalski Stovewood building and museum at Jennings presents a wonderful opportunity to see what Oneida County was like over 100 years ago. So jump in your time machine and cruise on over to Jennings and take a look. Its history, its uniqueness, and its charm truly make it a hidden gem of Oneida County. I'm Kerry Bloedorn, and I'll see you next time for some more Oneida County history. Unfortunately, the Mecikalski Stovewood Building Museum was unable to open this season. People are welcome to visit and view the exterior of the buildings, but the museum board will look forward to the 2021 season, including their annual Stovewood Days celebration. For more information, visit the Mecikalski Stovewood Building Facebook page.